welcome back to Studioloo. I'm Cindy, and today I'm bringing you another of the Gnome Journal series, and I'm just hanging out with this cute little wool Waldorf gnome today, so I will set him aside and talk to you about this journal. So this is, I think, journal number 6 in my series of 12, and so this journal is in a nice hardback vintage book. I can't recall if I retained anything from the book, if it was interesting in any way, but anyhow, I have put some of the original book ephemera on the front of the book. If you haven't seen my first the Gnome Tome video, which is the first in this series where I talk about where I got all of this lovely gnome paper, it's from a bunch of original gnome books that they're vintage and they weren't in wonderful condition, so I decided to use them for a journal series and kind of give them new life. So if you haven't seen that video, definitely check it out. So I made sort of a nice heavy like journal card out of this, but then affixed it to the front cover and put some ribbon at the bottom. And it's just this little gnome sitting down having a chat with a deer. And the whole thing has been fabric bound on the outside with 2 visible signatures. I couldn't think of the word. And then this little sort of bookmark has been sewn through the spine as well, and it has this little arrow on it, so it's kind of cute. So when you open up this book, there's another page from the original gnome book that shows gnomes on their honeymoon, and they're riding on the back of some cute geese. They look to me like Toulouse geese. They're like one of my favorite kinds of geese because I used to work in a museum and I had my own little herd of Toulouse geese that I would take care of while I worked there, and they were so cute because they would be in the barn. They had their own little barn, and they loved the long grass. They had a little pond, and they would sort of toddle in a row right behind one another when I would call them every night to go into their barn. So they were the cutest things. They're like sassy but like kind of friendly too, and yeah, they're really cute. So I'm getting off topic. The first page is this lovely botanical from a vintage nature book, and on the back is some instructions about how to make your own paper flowers and how to press flowers. This is eco-printed paper. It's like heavy watercolor paper that I printed myself. And then this is some bug imagery, just really beautiful insect drawings. And on this side, just some little botanicals and a little bee sitting on a finger. And then this is a botanical magazine of different orchids and cabbage and coffee dyed papers. Lots of writing space in these journals. This is some sort of wood grain paper. And on this side, there's a little canopy maps illustration. It's about tree growth and how leaves and trees are affected under different growth conditions. And on this side we have this little upper tuck with a gnome riding on the back of what looks to be like some kind of a weasel. And it's on this beautiful floral illustration paper. And then inside is this journal card, and it is from sort of a nature like woods magazine about like how to look for things in nature, and it's showing a hand holding a magnifying glass looking at a moth on a tree. So lots of nature stuff in these journals because, of course, gnomes live in the woodland, and so a lot of their lives revolve around nature. This is a gnome running into the forest to warn wildlife about a forest fire. And it's on the back of some more botanical magazine paper. And inside is this large journal tag, and it's been collaged. It has some botanicals and a bee here, and it has fabric on the top. And these are a couple of little fairies. This side is just some nice spotted paper. And then botanicals and these beautiful illustrations of different wildlife. These are by Nick Bantock. This is a book page from The Artful Dodger. And there's a little poem here about bad manners. Let's see if I left. Yeah, so it's about this turkey vulture having bad manners. I'll read it to you. A large and surly turkey vulture came to me to learn some culture. I taught it every social grace, to mind its manners and know its place, to use correctly knife and fork, to sniff thoughtfully on the cork, to beg pardon if you please, and cover its beak before a sneeze. I felt I'd made a fully able to dine with style at any table, but in the final crunch, it chewed the waiter with its lunch. So pretty cute, and it's about this turkey vulture. Then this is a coloring book page from the story of Pandora. It was such a beautiful coloring book, and it has these amazing like mushroom and fungus illustrations. It was so perfect for this gnome themed series. And on this side we have a pocket that has some batik fabric and botanicals. And behind it is that Nick Bantock page. And here is a journal tag with a nice moth on the front. It's all been collaged and inked. And then just some illustrations of what looks to me like a Banksia tree, Banksia pod. And here we have an upper tuck with a couple of gnome ladies, and they are knitting, and there's a little mouse here that has one of the yarn balls. And it's on the back of a botanical piece of paper. And inside is this lovely large journaling card. So it's for writing on. Whenever I make reference to journal cards or journal tags, that's exactly what they're for, if you're unfamiliar with these kind of journals. And so this is a gnome and some different mushrooms, a morel and a field mushroom and some wild berries. And then this lovely bird on this floral illustration paper. And a nature illustration of a butterfly and all the butterflies and how they hang together. Wood grain and coffee dyed papers, cabbage dyed paper, more of that botanical magazine. And down here we have a little stick bug illustration and more insects. And this is more of my eco-printed paper. And this is about making paper flowers. It's continued from the other side. I thought I would leave that in there because it's a fun activity. And on this side, there's a belly band of a gnome walking with a basket on his back. And inside is this journal card. Some stinging nettle and these two gnomes having a little conversation. And on this side, actually this isn't attached. This is just a little bonus in the middle of the two signatures. So it's a coffee dyed envelope with this little gnome hanging out in these mushrooms. And on the back is this beautiful flower. And inside we have a journal, I believe it's a double fold journal card. Yes, and it has, it's lined and it has these little bird eggs and it opens just like that. So you can write on all of this. And that just pops right inside there like that. And on this side we have some botanical illustration from a children's book. And on this side is a handmade envelope that has a sandpiper. It's made from a vintage illustration book about birds. And inside is a journal card of a gnome sitting in a cloud. And that just goes right in there. And on this side we have sort of an upper corner tuck with this gnome and just some verbiage from the gnome book and some leaves up there. And behind it is this beautiful magazine about plants. And then this journal card all about plants. It's got some monstera and other plants behind this gnome woman with this caterpillar on her hat. And the back is collaged. And then more of my eco-dyed paper and a children's illustrated bird book. Beautiful bird illustrations. And some very gnomey toadstool paper. And then just some more nature illustrations of plants on graph paper and some coffee dyed paper. And then this is sort of a piece-by-piece illustration of a flower showing the petal, stamen, carpel, and sepal. And then this is a little corner tuck, a gnome and his child looking at some mushrooms, and beautiful botanical magazine behind. And then inside is this little collage journal card. So I hope that some of you have started to play a drinking game every time I say gnome in these journal series, because I'm saying it an awful lot, I can tell. And then there's some peonies here and some nice black paper. I thought it was great contrast. And this is a coloring book page again from the Story of Pandora. I just really love how this particular journal came together. It's quite my style. I like it. Lots of peonies. They're such beautiful flowers. And here we have a chestnut illustration. More coffee dyed paper. And on this side we have a pocket made from a book page and these little gnome family and their little babies. It's very reminiscent of my life right now. My husband and I both yawning all the time with our two little babies. And this is a journal tag with this lovely gnome with a long hat riding on the back of a bird. And then this is more of the illustrated children's book bird paper. It talks about how to feed birds on a platform. That's a favorite way to feed blue jays. They love platforms. This is just about bird watching and more of that eco-printed paper. I dyed this with different plant materials and also some iron, rusty cogs, big rusty cogs that I got from a long time ago at an outdoor flea market when we were able to go places like that. And then just some lovely photography of some beautiful plants. And here we have a pocket, and it's got this chamomile. These books talk a lot about plant medicine. So chamomile or dill seed tea are used for curing insomnia. I should take them up on that. Although I do enjoy a nice chamomile sleepy time kind of tea. And this is a journal tag with a bee putting on his little shorts, and there's a bed here, and this gnome looks like he's getting ready for bed. So that just tucks right in there. And over here is a children's, this is actually a little golden book page, and it's very cute. It has this little skunk and a woodpecker and a mole. And then we're at the back of the book. So this is a pocket with this lovely bird. And these, the map pages that you see in here were original to the book itself. Then we have a couple of things in here. So one is this, a little bit about my books. It's just kind of like a note from the bookmaker about my books. And then this is a large journal card, and it has this bit of verbiage from the gnome book. And it says, gnomes visit their birthday tree yearly on Midsummer Eve and add a mark to the runic script. Sometimes they even live under the tree so they can easily check on their age when in doubt. So I just love all the little legends of gnomes and the different life practices that they do. It's such a beautiful book. And I was very happy to find this copy that was not in such lovely shape to be able to use for this purpose. I actually own all of the sort of vintage gnome illustration books, and yeah, they're definitely big treasures in my library. So thank you so much for watching. This journal will be going up in my Etsy shop in the next day or two, along with some others. There already are a few there if you're interested in picking up these gnome journals. And in the meantime, I would love it if you'd subscribe, leave me a comment. All of my social media information will be in the description box. Have a really great day.